I'm going to be talking about blockchain. And if you haven't heard of blockchain, this particular talk probably isn't for you unless you have a look up what that means. And you can find lots of explanations about blockchain on different websites, and certainly if you just Google blockchain, you can get some very good videos that particularly give you the quick guide to it. So there's an assumption here you know what blockchain is. Now, what I want to particularly focus on is what I think is one of the fatal flaws for humanity in blockchain technology. Now, blockchain claims to be a solution to a problem that's probably been in the human condition for as long as we can remember. And that problem is trust, or its opposite, mistrust. And if you just zoom right up to now again, and still lurking in the world of business is our mistrust of business, our mistrust of banks, our mistrust of government even. Now that mistrust has got a lot of stories behind it, and once again, turning to the search engines, you can find lots and lots of stories from different newspapers, commentators about why we no longer trust corporations. We don't think banks are necessarily the safest places or most trustworthy places to put and then invest our money. The stories of corruption, the stories of fakery, of sending off for products and finding out that what we get back is fake medicines even that can affect our health, that the small print that apparently once was going to get gone from all kinds of products and services that we signed up for and bought, that is still there, that we suddenly discover that we've signed up for something we didn't know we could, that if you click on a web link, it's going to take you to a malicious website, that you can't trust even who people are who they say they are. And there's a lot of TV around at the moment about documentaries that are showing border control and the hard work that our border police are doing, and it's just showing you how passports are faked and people lie and don't declare what they say they're carrying on the cards that ask them to declare, and that essentially white lies are kind of acceptable in the world of business, as well as the bigger lies that then get uncovered. Money being hidden, money being laundered, and hidden charges on our bank accounts, hidden charges in our mobile phones, suddenly looking at our bank balances and finding that certain money has been taken out of it for legitimate, in terms of the small print, or illegitimate reasons. And so along comes a technology that says, well, we can solve that trust problem by creating a platform that is a kind of ledger, an open ledger, that is kept up to date through the very software, the very program itself, that rewards people who work on it in a distributed community of people, ensuring that the information and the processes within a particular platform or community are trustworthy, because people aren't involved directly in controlling that trust relationship. And so blockchain guarantees trust by guaranteeing transactions, that money can be sent from one place to another, and then that's not mediated higher up in a hierarchy by a bank manager, by a supervisor, by a policeman or woman. And that is essentially where blockchain offers something that people are saying is radical and revolutionary for the world, because it's offering, they claim, an unhackable or largely unhackable system, although there have been stories recently even of hacking and stealing of bitcoins, which are part of blockchain technology, but certainly of a higher degree of confidence that it's the blockchain technology itself that guarantees trust, that can solve this problem of mistrust, that you can't trust other people, you can't trust businesses, you can't trust government. And so the issue of trust is kind of taken out of the equation of human relationships. And there's an assumption here that people can't be trusted. And there is the rub, there is the problem, that even as we think we solve the problem, we hide the problem. We don't finally try as humanity, as communities, to really take on what it is that's creating that mistrust in the first place. Some people would claim it's capitalism, but then capitalists would point to communism or socialism and point out the corruption that has been in their systems. And then people might conclude from different perspectives like evolution that mistrust and corruption is built into the game of win and lose. And it's just the nature of the human condition, and you'll never solve it, and you should never try to solve it. And yet there are examples of trust. There's a lot of literature around businesses that have an ethic, an ethos, that they don't go for maximum profit, but they go for sustainable profit, and that they have an ethos of openness and trust, and that people want to work for those organisations, and that people develop those ethics in families, in smaller organisations and businesses. And so another view is that perhaps part of our development as humanity, and certainly part of your development in your life, might be to deal with the lies that you tell, deal with the urges to win at the expense of others through the game that you win through breaking the rules and hiding information and being dishonest. And so at least it needs to be possibly in the equation of human beings not going to war with each other, and fairness and equality being achieved in communities. If that draws you, then blockchain technology does sometimes solve the trust problem. It can guarantee the identity of a person potentially. It can guarantee the provenance of food. And there's lots of blockchain applications out there that are claiming to improve our confidence in information, our confidence that transactions are transparent and open and real and not fake. And yet it does it by avoiding the root cause and the issues around why people are untrustworthy in the first place. And then we don't have to take that issue on. And then, of course, what you're finding is that Bitcoin and blockchain and some of those technologies are equally used for the dark web, for the buying and selling of drugs, for example, and could equally be used for deception. And that could be where blockchain goes. Blockchain technology could also guarantee mistrust, guarantee the hiding of things, guarantee violence, guarantee the very technology that will also run things that harm us as well as help us. Because we're still not getting through to the real issue, the collusion around the idea that mistrust is simply part of the game, that mistrust is simply part of winning and losing. Now, I don't buy that, but that's a personal decision. But it makes me wonder that if we develop a new phase of technology that's going to be around automation and self-driving cars and us apparently plugging into robotics and melding with machines, if what we do is say that human beings can't be trusted to trust, and it's therefore a kind of software, it's a platform based on AI and the internet of things and place being run by technology itself, because technology is somehow neutral or can be 100% guaranteed to make a trustworthy transaction, then what we do is we devolve. We don't head forward into the difficult conversation that you and I need to have about why we don't trust each other. And so that's my bother, that's my worry with blockchain, is that blockchain is another technology to help our muscles waste away, our spiritual muscles, you might say, our moral muscles in this case, because it suggests it's going to solve the problem that we can't trust each other. What it doesn't do is instigate a problem-solving process where we take on why we don't trust each other, which may come from dialogue, it may come from social experiments, it may come from difficult conversations, it may come from creative conflict, it may come from the way we educate and bring up our kids, it may come from why nations are at odds with each other and why we need diplomacy and discussion rather than perhaps totally trusted weapons to kill each other in the name of blockchain technology. Now, blockchain is good because it can take on real issues about transparency, where there may be very good social reasons why there is mistrust, and it can deal with that issue. And it may just be a pragmatic technology that, some people just can't help themselves and they become mistrustful in their wish for gain, in their wish to make money, in their wish to not pay tax. So it's not that I'm denying that blockchain technology can have a lot to say in a difficult world, but if we put all of our eggs in that basket and avoid the issues we've always tried to deal with through philosophy and practice, which is, why are things the way they are, and how can we as human beings, before we plug in, maybe solve some of those problems, blockchain technology might take a different turn of innovation. And instead of dealing largely with a negative social issue, it might go somewhere else. And that is something we're not imagining if we're just seeing it as a place of creating a kind of sticking plaster over a wound that we actually need to heal ourselves, which is why we don't trust each other, and what we as human beings of flesh and blood should, with our thinking, our feeling and willing, do about it.